Prepare your antacids and fasten your seatbelts. These 10 fast food chains you should never eat at in the US in 2025. Not all of these are small setbacks, they are complete catastrophes. We're revealing the slick underbelly of fast food, from disgusting kitchen conditions to corporate scandals that left everyone's mouths hanging open. Welcome to the bottom of the barrel, where the menu includes PR nightmares, salmonella scares, and soggy fries. 10. The champion of less than fresh food is Subway. Do you recall how Subway persuaded us to consume fresh food? What a farce. According to an Irish court, this sandwich chain's concept of freshness comprised preparing bread so sweet that it was essentially cake rather than bread. Indeed, judges declared in 2020 that Subway loaves contained 5 times the amount of sugar allowed for bread. What a waste of a nutritious sandwich! You're just consuming a dessert that looks like bread, and that's only the beginning of Subway's disgrace. When it was revealed that Subway's well-known spokesperson was actually a secret monster, the company's reputation suffered greatly on a global scale. The man who was formerly praised for losing weight by eating Subway, Jared Fogle, is currently serving more than 15 years in jail for heinous child sex offenses. A fall from grace. Indeed. One of the worst scandals in fast food history was portrayed by the face of Subway. If that wasn't enough, Subway was the target of an odd lawsuit alleging that its tuna wasn't truly tuna. For 2 years, Subway's tuna salad was portrayed in the press as a mysterious meat mixture. Tuna that is not tuna. This could not be made up. In 2023, when Subway adamantly maintained that it only offers 100% real wild-caught tuna, the lawsuit was ultimately dismissed. However, the harm had already been done. Consumers were examining their sandwiches closely and doubting the caliber of the food they were eating. Subway has gained its reputation as a truly terrible fast food restaurant, from bread that has been chemically treated and dubious fish to a spokesperson crisis that left us all feeling hungry. Consume fresh. Eat at your own risk, or more accurately. 9. Burger King. If your way is awful, have it your way. Burger King now wears the crown of cringe, yet previously dared to call itself the king. On International Women's Day, this chain thought it would be adorable to tweet that women belong in the kitchen. Really, the goal was to raise awareness of a scholarship. No, they had good intentions. Unexpectedly, though, it backfired catastrophically. Allegations of BK going back to the 1950s became viral on the internet, and after many pledged to boycott the Whopper in protest, the corporation quickly issued an apology for the error. Describe a self-inflicted PR injury. And it's not the only royal gaffe they've made. Not to be forgotten is Burger King's involvement in the horse meat controversy. Indeed, producers in Europe were incorporating horse DNA into the beef patties at the Whopper's birthplace. The king attempted to discreetly distance himself in 2013, but he was forced to admit that testing had found tiny amounts of horse in the burgers. Think about that, naysayers. Alongside their fries, patrons get a side of stallion. Maybe the famous Burger King foot lettuce will make you sick if mystery meat doesn't. A notorious event in which a worker stood in the lettuce bins and uploaded a picture on the internet. The disgusting fast food meme went viral. You wouldn't want someone's foot fungus in your Burger King burger, would you? Real health inspectors aren't amused by the meme, even though it made us laugh and gag. Burger King continuously performs poorly in terms of hygiene and customer satisfaction. Diners complained because they rarely got their way, placing it in the bottom of the industry with a dismal score of 76 even in 2024. Burger King appears committed to destroying its brand through deplorable mistakes and insulting marketing. Get what you want? Burger King has you covered if your style entails a side of bacteria and public fury. 8. Duplicate buns, unclean dining, and Checkers and Rallies. Checkers, also known as Rallies in some areas, promotes their burgers as being tasty and robust. However, the health inspector's report is the sole bold item here. We are discussing a chain that is so notoriously filthy that it has almost become the subject of dirty dining news programs. Inspectors discovered a feast of horrors at one Florida Checkers. There are live flies and roaches inside the burger toppings. Yes, there are actual insects in the mayo, cheese, and onions. They immediately had to close the establishment. Another site was observed preparing food in a makeshift plywood shanty kitchen out back near the dumpster without a hand-washing sink. Cooking your chicken next to the trash cans is the nastiest thing you can do. But that's just the way things work at Checkers. Unimaginable acts by employees have been captured on camera, such as the worker who famously wiped a burger bun on the floor before delivering it because, a little floor seasoning makes it extra delicious. Although the business issued an apology for the widely shared video, you can't help but think of a shoe sole burger. Consumers across report entering Checkers establishments that appear to have been neglected for years. Dirty floors, sticky counters, and graffiti in the restrooms. A dissatisfied diner wrote that even the rats boycotted the establishment because it was so filthy. Being inexpensive is one thing for a fast food restaurant, but Checkers goes over and beyond by reportedly sacrificing basic training and cleanliness. A double dose of E is the only double drive-through experience you can get here. Salmonella paranoia and E. coli. Grimy, greasy, and disgusting. The poster child for the Hall of Shame of the health code is Checkers and Rallies. You may want to drive through and continue driving if you value your stomach and your sanity. 7. Jimmy John's. Extremely dangerous and extremely quick. The sandwiches at Jimmy John's are incredibly quick. That also pertains to how quickly they can have you rushing to the emergency room. The US FDA actually issued a formal warning in 2020 because this subchain has been a recurrent offender of food poisoning. Following 5 outbreaks in 7 years across 17 states, the FDA blasted Jimmy John's for a history of serving contaminated products. The primary offender was the cucumbers and leafy alfalfa sprouts they insisted on putting in sandwiches, which were contaminated with E. salmonella and E. coli. Salmonella and E. coli. Customers repeatedly become gravely ill. In one incident, poisonous sprouts in Iowa caused illness in 22 persons. Until regulators dropped the hammer, corporations continued to appear to shrug. A federal warning letter detailing how your meal has sent many to the hospital is the epitome of a quality lunch. However, there are other nightmares on this menu besides food safety. With trophy hunting, Jimmy John Leo Todd, the company's founder, destroyed the brand's reputation in a whole new way. Images of him joyfully posing with the carcasses of endangered rhinos and elephants that he slaughtered while on safari have surfaced. He was shown giving the thumbs up while straddling a dead elephant in one of the sickening photos, which caused national indignation and calls for a boycott of the chain. People had yet another excuse to ruin their lunch over Jimmy John's all of a sudden. In an attempt to defend himself, the founder said that the meat was given or something. However, that image was the final straw for a lot of former fans. The fact that Jimmy John's was known for treating its employees like indentured servants didn't help either. Up until 2018, this company required low-wage workers to sign non-compete clauses that prevented them from working at another sandwich restaurant in the event that they quit. It's freaky quick meets freaky absurd, really. Because of the actual and symbolic illnesses of its founders' hobbies, Jimmy John's has become one of America's worst chains. Just be aware that you're biting into a hefty portion of risk and controversy along with your sandwich. 6. Chipotle. Bad record of fresh food. In the fast food market, Chipotle Mexican Grill has become the top supplier of fresh burritos. Food that is honest. By 2025, however, Chipotle's once immaculate reputation has long since been tarnished. More foodborne illness outbreaks have occurred at this business than at a dangerous buffet. Think back to 2015. The E from Chipotle. A coli outbreak that spread to 14 states made 60 people ill and sent the country into a panic. Incidents of norovirus were then reported. The norovirus, eh? Chipotle has so numerous of these illnesses that the DOJ fined the firm a record $25 million for providing over 1,100 people with contaminated food. Yes. After dining at Chipotle, more than 1,000 folks took the time to pray to the porcelain deity. An investigation uncovered the reason why supervisors were making sick workers continue to work after they had puked in the middle of their shift. When a sick employee in Boston puked, but was ordered to remain on the line, the food became contaminated, poisoning 141 patrons, including a whole college basketball team. Integrity in food, huh? Try foods that contain norovirus. Chipotle has yet another PR disaster, right as it was attempting to bounce back from being the food poisoning poster child, falling literally from the roof this time. Rats fell from the roof onto the tables of a Dallas Chipotle, shocking the patrons. Yes, you read correctly. 5. The Jack in the Box. Pandora's box is open, and Jack is inside it. The eerie mascot with the enormous clown head appears. On the West Coast, Jack in the Box has long been a favorite among late-night snackers. However, beneath that smile is a past so sinister that the clown would blush. Perhaps the most deadly fast food tragedy ever was provided by Jack in the Box, the 1993 E. coli outbreak that left 178 people permanently wounded and 4 children dead. It was dubbed the most notorious food poisoning incident in modern history by one expert. Undercooked hamburgers that become deadly weapons were being served at more than 73 locations across 4 states. Because Jack in the Box couldn't even cook a burger to a safe temperature, hundreds of people, mostly children, became seriously ill, some of whom suffered from kidney failure and brain damage. Food safety regulations were changed countrywide as a result of the catastrophe. However, Jack in the Box's name will always be tarnished. Consider the horror of a parent. No apology or payout could ever reverse the catastrophe that began with a simple kid's dinner. You would think Jack in the Box would straighten up after creating a national scandal. However, this chain is still unable to do it right after decades. In terms of meal quality and flavor, customers routinely place Jack in the Box close to the bottom. It received a dismal 72 out of 100 for customer satisfaction in 2024. Fast food enthusiasts don't seem to be enjoying Jack's peculiar menu, which consists of burgers, tacos, and egg rolls all in one place. Smaller scale occurrences also occur, like the time a client allegedly discovered a deep-fried wig in their fries. It may be a rumor, but it persists because it sounds just like something that may occur at Jack's. The actual sites are frequently shady. It's the type of restaurant where you dine with one hand on your wallet and one eye on the exit. Some Jack in the Box locations have experienced mouse infestations and viral footage of staff members doing narcotics in the kitchen in recent years. It's an uncomfortable and perplexing experience. You haven't completely closed the Pandora's box of fast food horrors you unlocked long ago every time you pull up to the Jack in the Box drive-thru. Enjoy those 2 99-cent tacos and hope the clown isn't using his bare hands to prepare your food. 4. Caesar's Little, hot and ripe for derision. The cheap pizza place Little Caesars is pleased to offer you an entire pie for the price of a Starbucks latte. However, you pay for what you get, and in this instance, you're paying for both internet fame and mediocre food. They don't market the second part of the chain's slogan, hot and ready, to let people down. Have you ever eaten a slice of Little Caesar? It's similar to chewing cardboard that has been covered in plastic cheese and ketchup. Little Caesars receives a pitiful satisfaction rating of 75 on customer surveys, among the lowest of all pizza chains, so even its own devotees aren't too thrilled. The real joke, though, was when Little Caesars was discovered to have not even bothered to create its own pizza. A shopping cart full with frozen DiGiorno pizzas was seen resting in a Little Caesars establishment in a widely shared video from 2018. They appeared to have actually purchased a bunch of DiGiorno from the grocery store's freezer section and attempted to pass it off as their own. The internet went crazy. Little Caesars became the joke of the day, not delivery. DJO's official Twitter even added, "We're just as curious as you." Little Caesars was embarrassed and said it was all a coincidence. Yes, I am the Pope, claiming that a client simply left a cart of DJO by the counter of the specific business, which was located within a Kmart. Correct. Whatever the justification, the message was unmistakable. The story felt completely realistic because Little Caesars pizza is so similar to a mass-produced frozen pie. And that says a lot. Little Caesars has more sins than that disaster. Various outlets have dubious cleanliness. Look up Little Caesars health violations online and take pleasure in the horrifying tales of unclean prep stations and out-of-date food. Then there is their advertising. The cheesy pizza advertisements that haven't evolved since the 80s. A Little Caesars is a time warp of stained linoleum and flickering fluorescent lights, much like the interior design of their establishments. The type of atmosphere that shouts, "Dine elsewhere." Despite being the third biggest pizza company, Little Caesars is essentially the joke of the fast food industry in 2025. Inexpensive, unhealthy, and inadvertently funny. It is available for you if you are really broke or in a dire situation. Just be aware that your greatest disappointment is probably the best thing you will ever get from Little Caesars. 3. Popeyes. I adore that chicken. Be careful with your wishes. I adore that Popeyes chicken. Blair's jingle. Millions of people adore it. A bit too much, maybe. With its renowned chicken sandwich, Popeyes exploded from a fried chicken company to a full-fledged cultural phenomenon in 2019. However, the chain's sudden popularity backfired, transforming Popeyes into a violent and chaotic atmosphere. Frenzied patrons clashed in parking lots, lines stretched across blocks, and in one terrible instance, a man was fatally murdered in Maryland after someone cut into the line for chicken sandwiches. Yes, you heard correctly. On November 4th, 2019, a pointless argument about a $3.99 sandwich turned into a murder. That was the extent of the Popeyes mania. Employees were working till they were exhausted, and some were crying as hungry masses wanted their fried fix, making the fad truly deadly. There were drive-through meltdowns, fights in the dining area, and even a widely shared video of a service member body slamming a customer outside. It seemed as though Popeyes unlocked a new franchise and the ninth circle of hell. In addition to the crazy sandwiches, Popeyes has a lengthy history of providing subpar customer service. The fact that Popeyes employees will yell at you, ignore you, or serve your order with a dash of attitude is practically a running joke. Additionally, they may be overworked. Take a look at the labor disputes and understaffing allegations. However, as a client, be ready. Like the chicken, the service may be spicy and not in a good way. Maybe this explains why Popeyes routinely receives the lowest ratings for customer satisfaction, even if its cuisine is great. It was the second worst fast food chain in America for happiness in 2024, with a score of just 72 hundredths. Ironically, individuals detest the experience but adore the flavor. Additionally, Popeyes isn't afraid of controversy. During the chicken sandwich wars, the chain's Twitter account became sarcastic with Chick-fil-A. This was amusing until real life began to resemble a WWE bout in the drive-thru. As if the scarcity of drumsticks were an emergency, some patrons of Popeyes contacted 911 in 2009 after the restaurant ran out of chicken. That did indeed occur. What ridiculous brand loyalty. Popeyes is the fast food that evoked the most intense feelings of lust and anger. Great fried chicken, sure, but how much did it cost? The repercussions include greasy fingers, a blocked artery, and possibly a fistfight with the guy in line behind you. I really adore that chicken. You might literally fall in love with it. 2, a piece of scandal from Papa John's. Using slogans like better ingredients, better pizza, and garlic sauce, Papa John's was once the self-assured number 3 pizza brand. However, it was rotting from the head down behind the scenes. Papa John, the company's founder, destroyed his own business with a string of egregious, racist, and downright foolish actions that destroyed the company's reputation. 2018 saw the major one. Schneider, complaining that Colonel Sanders had used the N-word without any repercussions, decided it was a fantastic idea to use it during a business conference call. Yes, on a call meant to teach him how to avoid making mistakes, the CEO of a large pizza firm casually uttered a racist slur. As soon as this was made public, chaos ensued. Thank you, Forbes. Within 24 hours, Schneider was compelled to step down as chairman. Papa John's shares fell as fast as a greasy slice falling off a paper plate as his name became a cause of corporate shame. Schneider wasn't finished tarnishing the image, though, as the corporation even produced ads that essentially said, "Please don't hate us, we're not all like Papa John, an extraordinary act of damage control." Sweaty and wild-eyed, he went on TV in 2019 to complain that Papa John's food had gotten worse and that he had consumed 40 pizzas in the previous 30 days. It was strange. The fired entrepreneur, who seemed to have just recovered from a pizza-induced breakdown, was disparaging his own product. Memes were having a great time. He cautioned that the day of reckoning was approaching, whatever that meant. Papa John's, meanwhile, was still in shock over his earlier errors, such as his 2017 PR gaffe in which he blamed NFL player protests for weak sales, which ultimately caused him to resign as CEO. It had been stated that Schneider had fostered a frat boy mentality and surveilled employees' emails, creating a poisonous workplace culture. Therefore, it is understandable why Papa John's fell from grace. Franchises rebelled, sales plummeted, and the brand had to clean up the sticky mess Papa John left behind. There are problems at Papa John's even outside of Schnood. Their menu isn't receiving any health awards, and wage theft claims have been filed. First, let's address the obvious. McDonald's scored a pitiful 71 out of 100 in 2024, the lowest customer satisfaction rating in the sector. The meal quality is notoriously questionable, and even though billions are served, most customers seem to depart thinking, wow, that was terrible. People had to be publicly reassured by this chain that its chicken McNuggets weren't comprised of pink slime. McDonald's started a whole public relations campaign to demonstrate that their nuggets are 100% chicken after a picture of pink goop went viral. The relationship between a MC and a cow is, to put it mildly, shaky. A McDonald's burger left on a counter is said to be so processed and preserved that it won't go bad for years. There's no urban mythology about that. To everyone's dismay, that is a real experiment that has been carried out. A Big Mac with fries and a Coke is also essentially a one-way ticket to Hypertension City in terms of nutrition. It contains more fat, sugar, and salt than your body can process. It makes sense that McDonald's is frequently held responsible for the obesity crisis and diet-related illnesses. McDonald's does more than only clog arteries, though. Its many lawsuits and scandals also burden the legal system. Consider its workplace culture. The business has come under fire for allegedly permitting widespread sexual harassment at its eateries. 25 additional sexual harassment complaints were made in 2019 by employees from 20 different cities, alleging groping, offensive remarks, and reprisals when workers voiced their concerns. This was part of a wave of legal action. The multi-billion-dollar behemoth McDonald's was effectively accused of facilitating a hash meadow nightmare in its restaurants. Speaking of disastrous leadership, do you recall Steve Easterbrook, the CEO of McDonald's? Due to his inappropriate interaction with an employee, he was fired in 2019. However, it turns out that he misrepresented the number of employees he had a relationship with. The board filed a lawsuit against him after discovering that he had been having affairs with several subordinates and erasing evidence. Easterbrook was forced to repay $15 million of his golden parachute payout as a result. Let's say your CEO's situation is so severe that he has to pay out $100 million in hush money repayments. For you, that is McDonald's. Its ice cream machines are a constant source of amusement every time they break. According to reports, the Federal Trade Commission began an investigation in 2021 to determine the cause of the McFlurry machine's constant malfunction. Warning: it's a combination of ridiculously complicated machinery and maybe a little bit of contract trickery or corporate ineptitude. Despite some improvement, billions of foam containers were destroyed due to harsh labor methods, inadequate pay that led to the $15 campaign, and environmental criticism. McDonald's contributes to all forms of evil. It's nearly amazing. The clown isn't crying, of course, because they serve 69 million clients every day worldwide. Without a doubt, however, McDonald's holds the tarnished title of worst fast food chain in America as of 2025. Customers are aware that ubiquity does not equate to excellence. Scandal-plagued executives, greasy food, disgruntled workers, and a history of enormous health issues are all present. We don't like it. The Big Mac daddy of evil is McDonald's. It is ranked first on the list for this reason. There you have it then. 10 fast food restaurants may be found at the intersection of Salmonella Street and Diarrhea Drive. These brands have all succeeded in some way. Behind the bright jingles and vibrant characters, fast food can quickly become ugly, whether it's by poisoning customers, alienating them, or occasionally both. Think over this list the next time you're craving something quick and ask yourself, how much do I want to roll the dice on dinner?